Esports is more than just gaming.
It's just a really good way to meet new people who are interested in the same thing as you.
It gives them a good sense of sportsmanship and teamwork.
The big goal with Garff Esports is to introduce these students to industry. We want to show them that they can take their interest and passion and turn it into future opportunity.
And it's open to everyone. Encourage students to sign up for Garff Esports today. To learn more about success in education and coding programs, visit SIEUtah.org.
Did you know that the average teenager spends nearly 7.5 hours on their phone every day? In that time, you could watch a 2-hour movie almost 5 times in a row, or ride a roller coaster at a theme park 45 times, or fly to Hawaii and swim for an hour. You can make the best use of those 7.5 hours by spending 5 minutes of your day on the Keys to Success app. Keys to Success is a mobile app and website that rewards you for exploring your future. See you soon!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Success in Education 22 Fall Festival for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, brought to you by Garff Esports. I'm Ashcon, joined by the wonderful Juice, and we got a action-packed day for you guys. It's an amazing match, but before we get into that, Juice, can you give us a quick rundown for today's format?
Of course, my good friend. So basically, today's format is going to be exactly the same as we've done in the past few weeks. We have 4 stocks, 10 minutes for each match, and we also start on Battlefield, Final Destination, Pokemon Stadium 2, Smashville, and Town and City, with Kalos, Lilac Cruise, and Small Battlefield being our counterfix for the day. So one big thing to kind of actually realize is for this specific tournament, for this crew battle-esque, I guess you could say match, when you pick a stage, you are now locked into that stage for the time being, but you are also character locked when you select a character. So for those who like to kind of counterpick between matches, that's not actually possible in this specific bracket.
Right, so once you're locked into one character, it's pretty much you keep going until you die. Is that correct?
Right. So basically, let's say one player goes up against the other player. So you have one player and one player. Each player has 4 stocks. So let's say said player over here eliminates said player over here with 3 stocks left, right? So now this player is eliminated, they don't have any stocks left. You still get to go into the next match with your 3 stocks. However, the percentage is reset, so you still start at 0%. No matter if you were at 160%, 180, whether you're at 2, whatever it is, you get to keep that stock at fresh percent, meaning you actually get to go into the battle with probably an advantage if you were at such a high percent earlier.
Absolutely, and we've actually seen that play into effect a couple of times throughout this season. We've seen it multiple times, and speaking of things that we've seen multiple times, one of the rosters, Pineview 1, we've seen before in round number 2, right. And that's actually going to be the very first roster of today, being led by Brett, Pizza Prophet, Jim Pix, Bang, Die Bagel. Those 4 together make up the roster of Pineview 1, and their opponents, I'll leave to you. It's Bear River, Juice.
Right, so with Bear River here, we have Mysterious Scarf, Eclipse, Lucario, and Ender_730. Those are new players that we have gotten on stream. We have not actually seen them play just yet, so there could be a mystery pick. No pun intended on the name that you just saw earlier, but we could see a whole brand new roster of characters. We might see some similar characters that Pineview might have on their side as well. So it's going to basically make up for like you said earlier, an action-packed day for sure.
Oh. And I want to reiterate that today's round 5 stream comes from the 1A4A school district, but even more importantly, both of these teams have a flawless record. They are 4-0, none of which have been defeated. But folks, to qualify out of this Swiss format and make your way into the championships, it has to be flawless, including this round. So one of these teams will knock the other out, denying them the opportunity to move forward. Unless, of course, we get some magic triple double tie action going on in the last round, only one team gets to move on. So Juice, I have a question for you in the meantime while we wait for these matches to get prepped. What characters are we expecting to see out of 2 teams that have come through a flawless run?
Right, so with flawless victories also has to come flawless gameplay and probably some flawless characters too, or close to it. So a lot of the players that we saw beforehand with being Pineview 1, we have seen them play before, so I'm fully expecting to see the same characters that they used before, especially with Bang Dai Bagels, Steve, Jim Picks' Kazuya, and unfortunately we actually didn't get to see the other two players' picks. However, this time, now that Brett and the following player are also up, we are going to finally get to see what characters they have in store for us, so we might get, who knows, we might get a few more Fighters Pass 2 characters, or we might get some original roster characters as well. For the other team, forgive me, I believe it's Beaver High, right? Beaver High, I don't believe we've seen them on stream just yet either. So this is also going to be, like we said earlier, it's going to be some mysterious picks. So I fully believe we're going to see Steve, Kazuya, maybe a little bit of Palutena. Palutena being an incredibly strong character, possibly Pikachu, maybe even Joker. Some of the higher tiered characters in this game.
And I want to point out that being on stream, while it is fun, can also work to your disadvantage. So if Bear River did their homework, then they would have watched the VOD of Pineview 1 and would have been able to see exactly how those two players play. Because like you said, Pineview didn't really show their entire hand, not that their entire roster of players didn't get to play. So there is a lack of information, but any information is good information, right? And so if they did their homework, this is going to lead into the ability to counterplay that Steve and that Kazuya pick. Now, that being said, after today's stream, both of these teams have a VOD on the board, and so both of them will be able to be, I guess you could say counter-stratted, although that's more of a tactical game term as opposed to a fighting game term. But counter-picked, I guess, would be the more ideal phrase for that. But Juice, a second and follow-up question, and similar to the first, is, all right, aside from Steve and Kazuya, right, we saw last broadcast a wide variety of characters. Of those characters, or maybe even the entire roster, what would you like to see?
So with Bear River, I believe that I kind of want to see some, brand new fresh characters. I believe last stream we got like Lynx, we got some Incineroars, we also got Roy. Now Roy, I like really fast, explosive characters, right? And it's typically characters that are like that can exploit some of these higher tiered characters, or even just exploit a player's weaknesses. Specifically their disadvantage, right? When a player gets in disadvantage, they get a little nervous, they might get a little anxious, they might start air dodging a lot, they might start making mistakes, and might start making habits. But speaking of habits, we're going to see whether or not we're going to see a lot of up Bs coming out from Bowser, coming out from Bear River right now versus Brett. So it's going to be Mysterious Garff piloting the Bowser, and Brett piloting the Squirtle here.
All right, now it looks like they got a type advantage. Water is super effective against fire, but I don't know if Bowser really concedes to the rules of Pokemon.
So the thing about this specific matchup, right? So Pokemon Trainer is, oh my god, that is absolutely a knowledge check right there. You never want to shield Bowser when he is doing that down B, because it will kill you instantaneously with that shield break. But going towards the matchup that I wanted to totally talk about, Pokemon Trainer is a wide variety character. Obviously, a little bit more balanced than most would assume. So Charizard being the heavyweight with some decent out-of-shield options. Squirtle being an extremely fast frame data-esque character. And then Ivysaur being more of a ranged character who just kind of wants to keep you at bay and maybe combo you if you get a little too close for comfort.
Yeah, if we're talking about picks with flexibility, Pokemon Trainer is definitely one of the top. But, having to memorize the moveset of 3 different characters and play styles, it isn't the easiest to manage, but it looks like Brett is doing so with ease. And as soon as I say it, they get smashed off the stage, but they come right back with a retaliation against Bowser. Right now on Charizard, it looks like they're trying to rack up some big damage.
Right. So one thing that I want to point out that Mysterious Garff has an idea on is obviously you do not want to try to challenge Bowser. That was multiple spikes in one instance, so I do want to point that out. That was kind of funny. But okay, Brett is going to go ahead and take that stock with a nice little Flare Blitz to end Mysterious Garff's 3rd stock. But very specifically, Bowser is a matchup check because Bowser has access to a lot of tools that players might not know about if they are a little bit newer to the game or if they just not have fought Bowser's plenty enough. So one interaction we saw earlier with Squirtle, or no, forgive me, it was Ivysaur. You can't actually multi-jab Bowser because Bowser has super armor on just in general. So Bowser could easily kill you if you forget that option.
Right now, Pineview is having a little bit of a struggle. Brett already on their last stock. And this is a one-stock lead by Mysterious Scarf, and they've been doing a great job of pushing back the opposition. Squirtle has the potential to combo Bowser and keep him in the air, but to kill them, they're going to have to switch Pokemon eventually.
Exactly, and that comes to play, in terms of Bowser versus Squirtle. Squirtle being a very quick character with a lot of frame data, but no! Not the SD! That is a very, very unfortunate way to go out on Brett's end, but Mysterious Scarf is now going to get to go into this next match with 2 stocks, especially on Bowser, who's a heavy character. So again, if you do not know how to kill Bowser, you get a little anxious in trying to kill Bowser, he can definitely punish you for that, and that's what can lead to a character and a player's downfall very quickly.
Now there was, I feel like, a little bit of a misinput there. If I'm not mistaken, there's some funky mechanics going on with swapping between Pokemon and then managing their recovery moves.
Right.
Juice, do you know what I'm talking about? Do you think you can dive into that?
So yes, kinda usually when you switch Pokemon, so with Squirtle and Ivysaur, if you double jump with Squirtle and Ivysaur, now you go in, let's say you want to switch out of Ivysaur and go into Charizard, you now go in with, I believe it's Charizard has 3 jumps. So you now go in with 1 less jump than you would normally have as Charizard. So a lot of players tend to kind of forget that, and they kind of need that muscle memory to build that habit up of knowing their resources when they're off stage as Pokemon trainer. But there is also the instance where if you do, angle your stick down a little bit to avoid a player or avoid a hitbox or something like that, you may accidentally press down B, side B, or up B. And in trying to manage that in that fear, it's an easy misinput that can happen. And unfortunately, that is what happened to Brett, and we saw a very, very early SD in that last stock situation.
And then we saw they immediately swapped out to Ivysaur as well to try and recover. And we saw the vines go out. And Ivysaur is one of those few characters that has a sort of grappling hook to the stage, and I just don't think that hitbox lined up for him.
Right. Brett was definitely a little bit too far down towards the blast zone in order for them to make that recovery happen, even with Ivysaur's really long vine tether box. But so unfortunately, that is going to be it for Brett. But Mysterious Scarf is going to go ahead and head on into this next match with Pizza Profit with 2 stocks, but is going to go up against DDD. So speaking of matchups, DDD is actually kind of a matchup check for Bowser, because Bowser getting up off the ledge is an incredibly big character, and with perfect timing and perfect spacing, DDD can just kind of keep him at the ledge at all times, and there's kind of not much that Bowser can do about it.
As we see just there, a footstool to finish the job as well. Those Gordos are going to wreak havoc on Bowser for the time being. Those are the projectiles that'll keep Bowser at bay. But also the hammer as well, kind of categorizes DDD as a sword fighter. I know it's not exactly a sword, but he has that extra hitbox, and as we, to review our vocabulary, that extra disjoint as well.
Right. No, very much so. Oh my god, and wow, times the up smash perfectly for the ledge get up. And oh my god, Pizza Profit going in with the DDD with the stylish downbeat to end Mysterious Scarf's last stock right there. Wow.
And that is a fast cleanup, and definitely a cleanup that was well needed, right? Because Pineview, they were down a player. They didn't want to let any more of a lead. Had any more stocks been taken off of Pizza Profit, then that would have been an amazing start by Bear River. They're not going to let that happen. And so now we're even 3 players and 4 stocks across the board. And as we talked about earlier, Juice, you said it yourself, that percentage, that damage that was racked up on Profit for their King DDD is going to go all the way down to 0. That being said, their character is revealed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And again, I feel like this is going to come down to the exact wire, right? Like, I feel like these 2 teams are going to be dead even. They're going to go crazy at one another until the very end. And I feel like this was almost destined to happen, right? 2 flawless teams. One's got to go down. It's the idea that an immovable object meets an unstoppable force, right? So we are definitely in for some craziness. But I do want to really shout out Pizza Profit right there, because one thing that, one Smash term that I like to explain is conditioning, right? So with the Gordo, when Pizza Profit would send the Gordo out to the ledge, Mysterious Scarf's idea to avoid the Gordo, especially as such a big character as Bowser, is to get up attack. Now with that get up attack, if you can read it and if you can condition a player to continuously get up attack, what you're going to see is exactly what Pizza Prophet did. Pizza Prophet realized that, figured out that habit, waited for Bowser to do the get-up attack, and then got the down B to completely eradicate Mysterious's Garff's stock right there. So conditioning is something that will net you stocks, and that is something that you can do to your opponent to really just play the mind game over and over again, and it can win you games, and it could win you a bracket, but that is yet to be seen.
Yeah, I think with conditioning and then the opposition of self-awareness are two key factors that really build up the stronger players and the more notable players in the scene, because understanding your own habits and being able to break them is a way to change tempo and also confuse your opponent and perhaps even catch them off guard, right? Where you now get into a little bit of a psychological game of, am I conditioning them or are they conditioning me? Because you can also create a trap based off of your own habits. Of course, that goes into much higher levels of play juice, but still, it is definitely crazy to see those, they say 5D games of chess being played just on Smash.
Exactly. And that's the fun part, right? You truly start to realize your improvement as a player, or even your improvement with the character, once you start kind of figuring out those new games of chess that you play, and once you start, once an opponent figures you out and you figure your opponent out, and then it's just how can you improve upon that and improve upon that over and over again. But hey, we're gonna get a canon boss fight here. This is two bosses of the Kirby franchise going at it. Eclipse piloting the Meta Knight. They're just gonna go right at it, no countdown necessary. This matchup in specific is kind of funky as well, simply because DDD has more of a range with that hammer than Meta Knight does with that little sword. But Meta Knight can make up for it with 0 to death ladders if the player is skilled enough to pull them off. Oh my god. But yeah. Pizza Prophet just said, cut all that noise because I'm going in. Already taking the stock. Basically almost a 0 to death on the Pizza Prophet's part.
Yeah, so Meta Knight had an amazing run as a top-tier character in Brawl.
Right.
But nowadays, he's been finding himself a little bit more at the middle bottom of the tier list. That being said, still has that amazing combo potential. But Pizza Prophet is denying all space and room for Meta Knight to get up close, because that range of attack out of King DDD exceeds Meta Knight's sword.
Oh, for sure. And DDD, again, is a character that still has decent enough frame data to kind of sort of contest with Meta Knight, but what I'm failing to see is Eclipse needs to really use, oh my god, Pizza Prophet is just not letting Eclipse breathe, but Eclipse needs to kind of figure out something to take this stock. But Meta Knight's biggest struggle, like we talked about, is not only just range, but it's the fact that most of his kill options are somewhat telegraphed. And in order to truly take stocks, it really requires a lot of edge guarding. But right now, Pizza Prophet's just not letting anything happen with Eclipse.
Yeah, it's just poking around. Pineview feeling absolutely comfortable on the backs of Pizza Prophet. No sweat whatsoever. As the percentage just keeps building up against this Meta Knight, they're trying to find ways to recover, get back on the stage. It's constantly denied. And Pizza Prophet knows how light of a character Meta Knight is, so they don't really have to struggle to figure out what is going to be their kill move. Any tilt or light smash attack is going to do the job.
Right, for sure. And even that, like, you can kind of tell that Eclipse is now on the aggressive side of things. Definitely a little frustrated that they haven't taken a single stock away from Pizza Prophet. And Pizza Prophet's just going to go ahead and build an entire city. And not even just a beg, he's just going to go ahead and build the city because they know that Eclipse is now in the, not scared end of things, but is definitely anxious and desperate for a kill here.
Yeah, you need to get a stock off your opponent. We're talking about how the average stock or the goal needs to be between 3 to 5, and Eclipse hasn't even been able to procure one.
Right.
And they just need that one to at least do a little bit, but it's going to be denied.
God, that Pizza Prophet is one hell of a DDD. That's what I'm going to say, okay? Because literally every single opportunity Pizza Prophet had to punish Eclipse, Pizza Prophet just took advantage of. Like, that entire game was just an understanding of situations, right? Understanding habits, understanding positioning in terms of the stage, understanding, if I limit, like, so if the ledge is right here, right? Pizza Prophet understood if I limit Meta Knight to getting up right here by throwing out a Gordo, then Eclipse has no choice but to go up and above to kind of recover. But I can just hug this platform right here and either up smash, I can up tilt, I can nair, I can forward tilt, the opposite direction when Meta Knight glanced on the opposite end of me. Pizza Prophet just didn't let any sort of option go unpunished in that game, and because of that, literally going in with a completely clean 4 stocks as Bear River is now down an entire player.
That was absolutely huge, and I think they're up to 6 stocks total, if I'm not mistaken. They've just absolutely ripped away the HP out of Bear River, and I think Pizza Prophet is prophetizing a pizza party for his Smash Bros. Ultimate Team if they can take the win. But up next is Lucario, right? And so we're going to be seeing whether or not they stick to the name, and it seems like they've actually adopted the Pit pick.
Right.
Maybe you can give us a little bit more insight onto that.
So I personally cannot give it an insane amount of insight, but what I do know is Pit is another one of those characters who has a lot of, you know, ledge guarding opportunities. Oh my god, Pizza Prophet with the 2-frame already. Oh my god,
no,
this
he
is
won't
just
stop.
Like Pizza Prophet is just okay. So that is the one thing I will say that might be an idea for why Lucario decided to go hit, is because that reflector, that down B that we saw a little bit earlier, can do a lot of damage and can truly punish DDD for getting a little bit too greedy with those Gordos. But unfortunately, we've been seeing Lucario get a little bit more hit by those, and has not been timing it ever so correctly.
Right, there needs to be a precise timing to get those Gordos right back to return them to the sender, but it just feels like as soon as Mario is landing, or should I say Pit, King DDD is right on their tail, in their face, trying to start a combination, or really just hitting one tilt, and that usually is going to be enough to send them right back into the air. And we see that pattern consistently as once again, King DDD now plays with their Gordos on top of it to deny Pit any room whatsoever to get back onto the stage. But a little bit of fancy footwork enables them to stay just for a few seconds before being launched right off again.
Oh, and unfortunately missing the spike right there on Pizza Prophet. But Pizza Prophet going to get right back to stage with the back air that's going to eliminate Lucario's 3rd stock. Pizza Prophet is literally showing that they are a prophet right now in terms of Smash Bros. But okay, that was the first time the reflector has actually managed to come into play perfectly for Lucario. Going to get the sour spot of the down air. Try to get a forward smash out of it. It's not going to make it work.
And that was something important to note as well. Although Pit has a reflector against the Gordos of DDD, King DDD can just as easily suck up the arrows that Pit is launching back out their way.
Oh.
So both of them have opportunities against each other. Speaking of opportunities, killed off the top is going to be DDD. That's a stock claimed by Lucario, but they're trying their best to at least get another one before being pushed onto their last life.
Right, and one important thing to note from that one stock was that Pit's side B does have super armor. Oh my god, that was such a snipe. That was the American sniper right there. But Pit does have access, like you said, Pit does have access to the down B. DDD can reflect it back with a neutral B of his own. But Pit's side B is the whole reason that Lucario did manage to take that earlier stock, because like Bowser, it does have super armor, and it is very, very hard to break. So if you do not throw out the right hitbox, you can kill somebody with that and catch them by surprise.
And I think that was one of the reasons Dark Pit was also really strong earlier on into the series, was the angle with which he struck with that side B alongside that super armor.
Right, it definitely hits at it hits you at more of a horizontally low angle. Oh my god. Are we gonna see a DDD? I'm not trying to prophesize the future, okay? Prophet's definitely doing their job, right? But are we gonna see a DDD sweep Bear River out of their chances at a championship? That is my question.
He's gone through Mysterious Scarf. Granted, it was the last 2 stocks, but that means he's seen everyone on the roster thus far. It's Ender, the last hope. Now,
right.
What I do know is that there is an Enderman skin on Steve Juice, and if there was going to be a savior, if there was going to be an S tier character to appear, it just makes the most sense that it's going to be Steve.
Yeah.
But frankly, I don't know what to predict, right? Because there is some information on Gym Picks and Bang Dai Bagel with their picks, right? We mentioned earlier that they like Kazuya and Steve themselves. So if Ender can lock it down and get all the way to that Steve versus Steve matchup, there is still hope for Bear River, but this is looking like an insanely fast sweep for a match where both teams started as 4-0.
Right. And now, I mean, now that we can kind of see Pizza Profit is just another, like, powerhouse in their own right, you know. Obviously, we've seen Bang Dai Bagel, a powerhouse Steve, Jim Picks, the powerhouse Kazuya. Now we have a powerhouse DDD, and this team just seems... As of right now, it seems unbeatable. But, like you said, Steve could be the savior that Bear River needs in order to make the whole run back happen, because Steve does beat DDD pretty hard. Steve does kind of beat Kazuya, because Steve can camp out Kazuya. And then, are we destined for a Steve Ditto? If that is the end of all Smash Bros. for our broadcast, that we see a Steve Ditto, I feel like it would be poetry and very ironic, you know. But
Juice, I've always wanted to cast a Minecraft PvP tournament, and I think like this is the next best thing, right? Steve versus Steve, like that's about as close as we can get. I'll take it.
That is pretty close. That's very close, especially if it's maybe like Enderman and Steve. You know, I could see it happening, you know. But if Ender just opts for a totally peculiar character that we don't, you know, that we weren't expecting, then I do believe that it might be possible, depending on the character, like maybe Roy, or maybe, you know, a heavy rushdown such as Fox, maybe.
Or Pichu, or you know, when you're in a 1v3 situation.
Right.
We did see that pick, which we thought was rather interesting self-damage aspect, but Pikachu mayhaps could redeem themselves if they get picked out, and we can see the strength out of that Pokemon.
Right, and Pikachu could certainly do it as well. What I'm curious of seeing is so. With DDD's Gordo, right? One thing about DDD's Gordo is a lot of players have been trying to attack the Gordo. There was only one instance where we saw Lucario manage to reflect it, right? However, if you have priority over the Gordo, if you manage to dash attack the Gordo with a specific character or something. Oh, wow. Okay.
Whoa.
This is a very, very peculiar pick that I was not expecting to see for a last stock situation. Now, I will say, a lot of players don't know how to fight me fighters just in general, so this could be interesting. But now we have to also point out the fact that we don't know this me Gunner's skin exactly, or not skin, moveset. So for those of you who don't know, me fighters come with a preset of four moves for each of their special options. So with me Gunner, there is 4 set moves for your up B, your down B, your side B, and your neutral B. And you can change them at will. So that is now what Pizza Profit kind of has to figure out, is what exactly the attacks are and how to counteract them.
And I guess that's a little bit of versatility that you can kind of rely on. But I don't think we've addressed whether or not the Meat Gunner itself can change moves. I mean, if it has to be the same exact Meat Gunner, I reckon. So once that move set is locked in, I figure that they won't have that flexibility, you know, post pick.
Right. And already, Ender definitely looks like they know what to do to kind of avoid DDD. Definitely knows to outspace DDD. But that was a great get up attack from, or just a neutral get up from Pizza Profit, knowing that charge shot was gonna hit. Good Gordo placements.
And that's a forward air.
Yep, nice forward air too. Kind of conditioned Ender to get a little too comfortable off stage and just followed up with a forward air.
It feels like Ender is just stuck at the ledge. At the same time, they're kind of getting positioned there, trying to throw DDD off. It feels like they're trying to trap DDD for maybe a spike or a horizontal kill off the stage, but it's not really going entirely in their favor. They've able to, you know, peel off one of the stocks, but it's looking like a pretty even matchup for now. Right. And at the same time, while also trying to chip away at DDD's stocks, they have to maintain their own because there's 2 other opponents left.
Right, and I do want to say, oh my god, Ender's doing an amazing job of keeping Pizza Profit off the stage, knowing how to, you know, just genuinely run away from DDD and not let DDD kind of get these extra hits in. But Pizza Profit, now on the aggressive side, does not want Ender to get any sort of momentum here.
Oh, the shielding is perfect as well, letting DDD roll into them so they can get those close hit shots out as well as the grab.
Right. Oh wait, great awareness right there, knowing not to charge shot right when DDD's trying to inhale.
That spike doesn't land again, but they're setting up for it. They know their strength at the ledge, and they're going to try to play for it. With 83% left, they can very easily close out this stock and retain 3 total to move into the next map. But DDD knows that and is just, even if it costs them to self-destruct as well, they need to get this stock off of Ender, and they're trying their best. 92%. It's looking increasingly dangerous. DDD trying to deny the recovery. Doesn't get the timing just quite right, and a grab is going to send them off the stage. And once again, Ender is in the position to spike, but they don't get the timing either. But that charge shot will finish the job.
Yes, indeed. Ender showing that there is there's something to be had with the Me Gunner here as the counter pick. And I do want to say, so while I was kind of paying attention, the specials that Ender has opted to go for are charge shot for the neutral B, a very peculiar up B where it has a spike hitbox at the bottom, which is what we saw take a few of Pizza Profit's stocks. So we have charge shot. We'll just call it charge up B because I don't actually know the full name of it. We also have the missile, and then we also have a reflector. So not only does Ender have the ammunition to kind of outspace people, zone people out, and just genuinely cause huge damage and take early stocks with that charge shot, which is what we saw when Ender called out a multitude of Pizza Profit's jumps. But Ender does also have a reflector in case there is a projectile war. Ender can definitely, throw out a few down Bs of their own, maybe get some reflector damage, or maybe even take some stocks with some reflected projectiles from the other player.
And now for Ender, with that moveset locked in, is an uphill battle against 8 stocks, 4 on Jimpix and 4 on Bang Dai Bagel. And so what they have now is a very strong tool set. I do like that reflector because most projectiles, especially since we're predicting Steve, will be able to kind of be dealt with and handled with a simple input. But with Kazuya, if that's going to be the character that we see on screen, that will prove to be a little bit more difficult because while the gunner does have some close range moves and the jab gives a little bit of distance, Kazuya has an amazing potential to just chase down enemies and start combo chains like no other.
Right, no, for sure. And with Kazuya, the thing is, like we said, the Kazuya is going to come out. With Kazuya, you can certainly rush characters down, but there is a thing called circle camping. Circle camping can be Kazuya's worst nightmare sometimes, because if a character does opt to circle camp, Kazuya can't really rush down in the air. He can rush down on the ground, but once you get in the air and you're flying away and you're throwing all sorts of stuff at Kazuya, it gets very hard for him to zone in. But Kazuya also does have a reflector in his own hand that is very powerful.
So we saw our opening into the match. Ender did opt for a down air to try and start something from the top. And so I think he's somewhat aware of that weakness out of Kazuya, but they're also relying very heavily on this charge shot, trying to keep something in their back pocket.
Right, for sure. And Ender is also relying on kind of getting grabs at the ledge as soon as, as soon as a character gets a little too close. But this might be the stock because even though that up B is very powerful offensively, defensively it does not offer much horizontal drift in order for you to recover back to the stage as easily. So if Kazuya can kind of take resources away from Ender, or Jimpix can kind of take Ender's resources, it becomes a very uphill battle for Ender to get back to the stage.
On these short combos by Kazuya as well, Jimpix is doing a great job of denying Ender any ability to kind of DI out of these combinations and just racking up the damage.
Right, oh my god, wanting the down smash spike as well, but this looks like it's going to be the stock. Yep, just the light little nair tap. That tap is combo food. It can combo you to death, but it can also spike you at very early percents or even late percents to the point where you can't recover. Oh, this is looking kind of bad for our Me Gunner hero here.
As that charge shot, could use it to end this stock. Does start by getting Kazuya off the stage. Tries to create a trap, but doesn't get the timing quite right, and so Kazuya is not going to have to worry about either of those projectiles.
Oh, and the taunt too. Oh, that's it.
Oh.
So, the strength of Kazuya was definitely shown almost instantaneously. A little bit of an anticlimactic ending as we were expecting a little bit more. But again, Me Gunner does not have anywhere near the amount of power as Kazuya. Not only Kazuya, but your winner of the match, Pineview, won, having such explosive powerhouses houses in gym picks, in Pizza Profit, and in Brett as well a little earlier on. So, and we didn't even get to see Bang Die Bagel come out. So Bang Die Bagel's probably chilling somewhere, sipping a smoothie, like, oh yeah, we got this all down pat. I don't have to worry about anything. But that was a great showing out from Bear River, though. Even in spite of the strength of Pine View, it was a great showing. They definitely gave their hearts out, and it was a fun match. It was a fun couple of matches, especially seeing the different players come out. With Bowser, with me Gunner, and many more. It was a really valiant effort, I will say.
Yeah, I do want to acknowledge Bear River's efforts and the variety they had in their character select as well. Pineview, of course, once again, congratulations to them. One of 4 rosters of the school. So, hey, listen, at the very least, one of the rosters got to make it to the top. You got so many hands in the basket. One of them is going to make it out. And so Pineview roster number 1 does an amazing job. They get to move forward into round 6, which is happening next week. And it was a pleasure to see Brett and Pizza Profit on stream this time around as well. We did comment on how in round 2, it was Bang Die Bagel that kind of had most of the stage to themselves as Steve. And so being able to get everyone the opportunity to be on stream is definitely something to celebrate. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we want you guys to follow the channel. Stay tuned. Rocket League still has a broadcast next week. So if you're into that, you're definitely going to want to stick around and keep your ear to the floor. But I've been Ashgon, joined by the wonderful Juice. And Juice, if you want to plug your socials before we head out, let's do exactly that.
Hey man, y'all can be sure to check me out at the Lightskin. That is TheLiteskin on Twitter.com. And Ashgon, where can they follow you at?
Twitter.com as well at Ashgons_voice. Folks, thank you for joining us tonight. We'll see you next week for Rocket League. Stay tuned.
Esports is more than just gaming.
It's just a really good way to meet new people who are interested in the same thing as you.
It gives them a good sense of sportsmanship and teamwork.
The big goal with Garff Esports is to introduce these students to industry. We want to show them that they can take their interest and passion and turn it into future opportunity.
And it's open to everyone. Encourage students to sign up for Garff Esports today. To learn more about success in education and coding programs, visit SIEUtah.org.
Did you know that the average teenager spends nearly 7.5 hours on their phone every day? In that time, you could watch a 2-hour movie almost 5 times in a row, or ride a roller coaster at a theme park 45 times, or fly to Hawaii and swim for an hour. You can make the best use of those 7.5 hours by spending 5 minutes of your day on the Keys to Success app. Keys to Success is a mobile app and website that rewards you for exploring your future. See you soon!